We got the end of Egghead. We see what happened to all of the Straw Hats and the Elders after the battle's officially over, and even old school Joy Boy, the OG, helped by launching an insanely powerful attack from the past. So make sure to stay tuned for this insane chapter. Definitely not one you want to miss. Chill the Pirate King within and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing One Piece reviews like this one and want to keep them coming. Make this the video you join the Nakama by subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future One Piece videos and updates. And now without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. So last chapter was one of the best, most hyped chapters in a while, and it made it clear we were transitioning from one arc to another. We had Luffy and Bonnie beating Elder Saturn, he was torn to pieces, and the pieces were falling into the sea. And we ended off with a sort of final on your marks, get set, go moment for the final stretch of the race to find the One Piece, where Oda showed us the major runners in the race, if you will, including Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, Buggy, Dragon, potentially Shanks' evil twin brother, and actually quite a few more. It definitely had a hype this is it vibe that resonated deeply. And so that brings us to this chapter, which if the last one began the transition to the next arc, this seems to finish it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the next chapter is officially considered a part of the new arc, because everything seemed to be tied up pretty well here, as we'll see. The chapter is called When the Time is Right, clearly referencing the thing that Emeth has been on about for a while now. We finally see what a surprise he's been packing, and it was so worth the wait. We also have a very special cover art for this chapter dedicated to Kohei Horikoshi, who, if you didn't know, is the My Hero Academia creator. If you didn't know, My Hero Academia is wrapping up right now. I think there's only one chapter left, so this is a fitting shout out to a fellow Shonen Jump manga creator. And the truly crazy thing is that, like Djokovic in tennis, Oda has been on top of the game for multiple eras, which in One Piece's case includes the previous era, which included Naruto and Bleach, the current era that's sort of ending with the already finished Demon Slayer and the now ending My Hero Academia and JJK, and the new era with whatever takes their place. And by the way, let me know if you have thoughts on what up and coming series that's gonna be in the comments. Just insane what One Piece has been able to accomplish, and I have a feeling it's only gonna get crazier as Oda builds towards the climax of the series. So this chapter starts with more reactions from all over the world, like from Dressrosa. People are understandably scared that their countries may sink under the sea. While interestingly enough, pirates are excited, thinking that there's a chance they could claim the world. And yeah, I guess those who sail the seas would definitely be at an advantage in such a scenario. And it makes sense to me that at least some people would see this as an opportunity, rather than just freak out. In the Marine Hospital, we catch up with Koby, who is thinking back to the time when he talked to Luffy about what it means to be Pirate King. Koby is still determined to stop Luffy. He says, "Luffy, I must put a stop to your dream," end quote. And on the one hand, it makes sense that he doesn't want a pirate to get to the One Piece and become the Pirate King, but on the other, I'm still hoping to see a team up at some point, and I hope Koby comes to the realization using his own moral compass at some point that Luffy finding it is definitely better than most factions of the Marines finding it. If Koby wants to find the One Piece for the Marines and stop Luffy from being the Pirate King, he better have a concrete plan to overthrow the existing and corrupt hierarchy from within. Otherwise, it'll be hard to respect his character, and I really do want to like his character. We then cut to the island where Buggy is talking to all his subordinates. Buggy says, "The world is mine? Don't be ridiculous. It will be ours." And of course, Cross Guild erupts in cheering Buggy as Crocodile angrily orders him to come and sit down. However, as much as you want to think that Buggy is just a joke character, it's notable that he and not Mihawk or Crocodile were shown when Oda was showing the major players at the end of the last chapter, the ones who are going after the One Piece. Yes, part of the reason is that Buggy is the Yonko face of the organization, but I really do think that Buggy is one of Oda's favorites, and he does have many strengths, including his charisma and his own will. He's one to watch, and I definitely wouldn't write him off as just a joke at this point. He keeps manifesting greatness one way or another, and I don't think he's finished yet. Then we get an interesting part with Katarina Devon and Van Augur, who are sailing back to Hachinosu. Devon calls Blackbeard to talk about Caribou. Devon says she can kill him right now if Blackbeard is okay with it. And Blackbeard's response is just perfect Blackbeard. He laughs and says, "No, bring him here. I'll just execute him if the information isn't good enough." Hyped to see Blackbeard in a chapter, and like I said, his lines were great here. Now finally, we return to Egghead Island, where, believe it or not, Vegapunk's message is still going on, although not for long. Vegapunk says, "And that is the truth. Joy Boy ... So as he's speaking, Workery attacks Emeth again. This time, the transmission Denden Mushi is destroyed and Vegapunk's broadcast ends abruptly. So we appear to finally have the end of the broadcast. And although Vegapunk seems like he was gonna say some more about Joy Boy, he does seem to have said most of the important points, since the statement, "and that is the truth," sounds pretty final. The deadly and possibly strongest elder Nushjuro is running after the Thousand Sunny, which is what Zoro noticed last chapter. Saturn is on the shore regenerating after Luffy and Bonnie's combo attack, so there's some big information. Last chapter it seemed like he was gonna land in the water, and now he's on the shore already. Now we may get more answers later, but this could imply that the sea isn't his weakness, which shouldn't be a surprising thought if you watch these reviews, because I've been saying for a while that despite having Devil Fruit-like powers, these guys might not be Devil Fruit users. After all, when their yokai forms were introduced, they weren't introduced as Devil Fruits, and I've mentioned the possibility that these powers may be the extension of Imu's Devil Fruit as well. In other words, Imu may have given them these powers. Either way, something seems fishy here, since I think most of us agree that being beaten to pieces and falling into water should have been more problematic for an actual Devil Fruit user. Now we get to the really crazy stuff with MVP of the chapter, Emeth. We get an amazing double page spread where we can see that Peter, Warkiri, and Nushjuro are about to jump together at the Elbaf ship and the Thousand Sunny, which is now almost touching the sea. Emeth grabs something that is near his waist, and then he thinks again about Joy Boy. Emeth says, "I'm sorry, Joy Boy. I know you can't possibly be alive, but he looks so similar to you that I can't help but think about that day. Joy Boy, I'm sorry I couldn't make you king," end quote. But it looks like he will be able to help Luffy, the new era Joy Boy, on his journey to becoming the Pirate King. Emeth asks Luffy, "What is your name?" Our protagonist says, "I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will become the Pirate King." Emeth simply remarks, "D," quote unquote, acknowledging that he's one of the D who inherited the will of Joy Boy and his crew. Emeth then does the craziest thing. Quite possibly one of the craziest things we've seen in One Piece history. Emeth pulls the thing from his waist, and seemingly a knotted rope inside of Emeth's body is untied. Suddenly, a lot of giant black lightning emerges from Emeth's body. Most of the Marines faint in their battleships. Luffy, for his part, is in shock. And right off the bat, we have a clue of what's happening because people are fainting. Emeth laughs and says, "Hey Luffy." While Luffy asks, "Conquers haki?" Emeth says, "Thank you for letting me hear this nostalgic rhythm again. It takes me back." In yet another epic double spread, MVP of the chapter Emeth releases a supermassive Conqueror's Haki attack from his body that affects all of Egghead Island. We can see huge black lightning and the sea shaking far away from Egghead Island. This is clearly a legendary level attack, and it's not surprising considering where it comes from, as we'll see soon enough. Emeth tells Luffy, "Please don't die, I won't let you die." Even Vice Admirals can barely resist the Conqueror's Haki coming off the attack. They have no idea whose powerful Haki it is. As a result of the attack, all the elders on the island are blown back and turned back into human form by the attack Emeth released. Another interesting detail which we'll get back to. After that, Peter, Warkiri, and Nushjuro are back in Marijoa, while Saturn is the only one who remains on Egghead Island. Now, isn't it interesting that powerful Conqueror's Haki turned them back to humans immediately when we know that powerful Haki can fight the effects of Devil Fruit powers? Like how Law used Haki to cancel out the effects of Doc Q's Devil Fruit. Again, maybe, possibly, it's tied to their powers being the effects of Imu's Devil Fruit, and admittedly, you'd need some very powerful Haki to cancel out Imu's powers, but we're about to learn whose Haki it was, and it makes sense they would be that powerful. So we see Peter, Warkiri, and Nushjuro panting in the Room of Authority. Clearly, Kaido was right when he spoke so highly of the power of Haki and how it rules over even Devil Fruit powers. We see that Mars was already sitting there, probably having returned after Luffy's attack. So cool that Luffy's attack got one to come back here, and the latest attack got most of the rest. In the Room of Flowers, we get something even crazier. Imu is usually so stoic and calm, with us getting lucky if we get a ... from them. But here, Imu is kneeling down and screaming. It's reminiscent of when Green Bull felt Shanks' Haki, but obviously Imu is next level compared to Green Bull, so this is more significant. A servant says, "Imu-sama?" And Imu thinks, "Joy Boy." Back to the Straw Hats, and the Thousand Sunny finally lands on the sea and sails away from Egghead Island with the Elbaf ship. And we see that they are quite far away. So like I said, this seems to be it, as them leaving the island seems to mirror us leaving this arc. All of the people in both ships are shocked, wondering where all the monsters have gone. The giants are confused too, asking why a robot can use haki and why haki made people disappear. And we've known that there had to be a way to defeat the elders aside from just physically beating them, since they're immortal and would just get back up. And this seemed to have been it. Haki's so strong it blew them away and their demon forms. On the shore of Egghead, we see the remains of Emeth on the ground in front of Saturn, the only remaining elder on the island. Then we get 2 pages of the chapter that are perhaps the most interesting because of how they tie everything together and because of what and who we see. It's a flashback that includes Emeth talking to Joy Boy, and obviously it took place centuries ago. Joy Boy was sitting on top of a hill on an island, talking to Emeth. He is still in shadow, but we can see he's wearing a straw hat and a coat. Emeth, interestingly, is wearing clothes similar to that of a giant, like Buggy's clothes. Joy Boy says, remember Emeth, only when the time is right. So here we are, we're finally gonna find out what it is that our ancient giant robot has been alluding to for chapters now. Emeth asks, and I quote, when the time is right, end quote. And Joy Boy explains everything when he says, I will compress up my most powerful haki, and I will seal it in your body. Emeth says, whoa. Joy Boy continues saying, one day I will die, but you will live on far longer than me. There will be a day when I can no longer come to your aid. Emeth interrupts, I don't want that. Before Joy Boy says, when your life or the life of people you want to protect are in danger, that is when you will know the time is right. When that time comes, untie the knot. Emeth says, when the time is right, you will come to help me? And Joy Boy says, that's right, I will come to protect you from the past, as I've always done. So when you think about it, this is insane stuff and so hype also. The whole idea of sealing attacks is very interesting and has pretty interesting implications for the future. But also we have here Joy Boy in this way launching an attack from the past that is helping Luffy and friends escape from the elders and the current world government. Who would have thought that the old Joy Boy would be helping us in such a real way like this? It's amazing in and of itself, not to mention how powerful he must have been. I mean, imagine causing Emu, the big bad boss of the world government, to react like that, to react like Greenbolt did to Shanks. I think that's also a hint as to how strong we can expect Luffy to eventually get, if not stronger, since he is our protagonist. But back to the conversation, Emeth's eyes light up and he looks super happy because of what Joy Boy said. He laughs and says, thank you, that makes me happy. It's like having you with me all the time. Joy Boy answers, of course. But we are talking about something way ahead in the future, aren't we? And Emeth laughs one more time and says, wait. This is the most we've gotten about old Joy Boy in one chapter, and not only does it depict him as super insanely powerful, it also portrays him as a good guy and a good friend. I think this is what we were all hoping Joy Boy would be like, and it seems like Oda did not disappoint. We then get a panel where we return to the present. The lights in Emeth's eyes are now gone. Emeth's dialogue continues though, as he says, way into the future, I wonder if I will be lonely, and then he laughs. The editor says, and I quote, and he sleeps along with his fond memories, end quote. So Emeth played his role and definitely picked the right time to use that insane Joy Boy attack. Thanks to him, the others easily managed to escape, not having to take down most of the elders at all. What an epic arc this was, but I have a feeling, a suspicion, that the next one is going to be even better. If you did enjoy seeing Blackbeard again in this chapter, then you won't want to miss my video on all Blackbeard pirates and their powers explained. Link on screen right now. Like and subscribe for more One Piece awesomeness, and I'll see you in the next one.